For centuries, humans had been known as the diplomats of the galaxy. They traveled to distant planets, mediating conflicts, spreading peace, and offering aid to those in need. Their kindness was admired by some, but most alien species saw it as a weakness. To them, humans were the ones who would bend, who would sacrifice, and who would never fight back. The Galactic Union, a council of powerful alien civilizations, benefited the most from human generosity. Humans provided resources, knowledge, and technology without asking for much in return. The Union often debated over human involvement in galactic politics, but it always ended the same. Humans are useful, but they are not a threat. That assumption was about to change forever. The incident began on a quiet day at the Galactic Council's headquarters. Delegates from various species sat in the Grand Chamber discussing trade agreements. The human ambassador, Clara Voss, was calmly presenting Earth's proposal for a new energy-sharing treaty. Her voice was steady, her words hopeful. Then the alarms went off. A fleet of warships belonging to the Zarthan Empire, one of the most aggressive species in the galaxy, had entered Earth's orbit. Without warning, they opened fire. Cities were destroyed in seconds. Billions of lives were lost. The attack was swift, brutal, and unprovoked. The Zarthans had grown tired of Earth's involvement in galactic affairs. To them, humans were meddling where they didn't belong. The Zarthan commander, General Krass, broadcasted a message to the Galactic Union: the humans are weak. They do not deserve a place among us. Let this serve as a warning to anyone who dares to support them. As news of the attack spread, the council chamber erupted into chaos. Clara stood frozen, her heart pounding. Her home was burning, her people dying. For years, humans had avoided war, choosing diplomacy over violence. But this time, there would be no peace talks, no negotiations. This time, humanity had snapped. Back on Earth, the survivors gathered in underground bunkers. Among them were scientists, engineers, and military leaders who had spent decades preparing for the unthinkable. They activated a project that had been kept secret even from the Galactic Union, Project Inferno. Project Inferno was humanity's ultimate contingency plan, a fleet of advanced warships equipped with technology far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. These ships were powered by a revolutionary energy source, capable of devastating entire planets. The project had been deemed too dangerous to use, but now it was their only hope. Within hours, the fleet was ready. Clara, now back on Earth, delivered a message to the Zarthans: "You made one mistake. You thought we were weak. Now, we will show you what happens when you push humanity too far." The retaliation was swift and merciless. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace near the Zarthan homeworld. The Zarthan forces, confident in their superiority, moved to intercept. But they were not prepared for what came next. Human ships moved with precision, their weapons tearing through enemy fleets like paper. The Zarthan's defenses crumbled under the sheer power of Project Inferno. Entire armadas were wiped out in minutes. General Krass watched in horror as his forces fell apart. "Retreat," he ordered, but it was too late. The human fleet surrounded the Zarthan capital, targeting their key cities and military installations. For the first time in galactic history, the Zarthans begged for mercy. Clara appeared on their communication screens. Her expression was cold, her voice devoid of emotion. "You destroyed our cities. You killed our people. Now you will understand the price of your actions." The Zarthan capital was spared, but only after they surrendered unconditionally. The rest of their empire lay in ruins. Humanity's message was clear. They were not to be underestimated again. The aftermath of the conflict sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The Galactic Union convened an emergency session to address the situation. Alien delegates who once dismissed humans as harmless now spoke with fear and respect. "The humans have changed," one delegate said. "They are no longer the peacekeepers we thought they were." Clara, representing Earth, stood before the council. "We did not choose this path," she said. "But if you threaten our survival, we will not hesitate to defend ourselves. Let this be a lesson. Our kindness is not weakness." It is strength. But that strength has limits. From that day forward, humanity's place in the galaxy was forever altered. They were no longer seen as mere diplomats or helpers. They were warriors, strategists, and survivors. The phrase "the Day of Fire" became a warning to all species: do not awaken humanity's wrath. And so, the galaxy would never forget the day humans finally snapped. For generations, humans had lived as slaves under the rule of the Escaran Empire. The Escarans were a powerful alien race, towering and ruthless, who saw humans as nothing more than workers to mine their planets and build their cities. Life under their rule was harsh and unforgiving. Humans toiled in endless labor, their spirits crushed by the constant oppression. Any sign of rebellion was met with brutal punishment. Over time, the galaxy forgot the human spirit of resilience, but humans did not. Deep within the mining colonies, whispers of rebellion began to spread. It started with small acts of defiance, tools deliberately misplaced, machinery sabotaged. These acts went unnoticed by the Escarans at first, dismissed as mere accidents. But beneath the surface, humans were planning something much bigger. One of the leaders of this silent uprising was Zara Kane, a young engineer forced to work in A.S. Karen factory. Zara had always been resourceful, using scraps from broken machinery to create tools and gadgets in secret. She had a sharp mind and an unyielding determination to see her people free. One day, while working in the factory, Zara discovered something extraordinary. Hidden deep beneath the facility was a long-forgotten artifact, a ship of alien design left behind by an ancient and advanced civilization. The Escarans had overlooked it, deeming it too old to be of any use. But Zara saw its potential. With a small group of trusted humans, Zara began working on the ship in secret. They repaired its systems, studying its advanced technology. It was a long and dangerous process, with the constant risk of being discovered. But the ship became a symbol of hope for the humans. It was their key to escape and revenge. Months turned into years. The rebellion grew, spreading across the colonies. Zara and her team communicated with other groups using a network of stolen Escaran devices. They shared their plans, coordinating their efforts. Slowly but surely, the humans were building an army, one that operated in the shadows. The turning point came when the Escaran Emperor announced a new decree, an increase in the already harsh quotas for the human workers. The news spread like wildfire, igniting a spark of fury among the humans. Zara knew it was time. The rebellion could wait no longer. Using the repaired alien ship as their flagship, the humans launched their first attack. It was a small strike on Escaran supply depot, but it sent shockwaves through the Empire. The Escarans were caught off guard. They had grown complacent, believing humans to be incapable of such coordination. The rebels moved quickly, targeting key Escaran outposts and cutting off their supply lines. Zara's ship, now named the Silent Dawn, became the heart of the rebellion. Its advanced weaponry and speed made it nearly unstoppable. Each victory inspired more humans to join the cause. The Escarans responded with overwhelming force, deploying fleets to crush the uprising. But the humans fought with a ferocity that surprised even their oppressors. They used their knowledge of the Escaran systems to their advantage, hacking into their communication networks and turning their own technology against them. Zara led the rebellion with a mix of courage and cunning. She devised strategies that outsmarted the Escarans at every turn. Her most daring move came during the Battle of Orion, a major Escaran stronghold. Using the Silent Dawn, Zara and her team infiltrated the stronghold, planting explosives that disabled the Escaran defenses. The victory was a turning point in the war. As the rebellion gained momentum, the Escaran Empire began to crumble. Other oppressed species, inspired by the humans, started their own uprisings. The galaxy, once dominated by the Escarans, was now in chaos. The final confrontation took place on the Escaran homeworld. The rebels launched a full-scale assault, with fleets of human ships descending upon the planet. The Escarans fought desperately, but they were no match for the coordinated efforts of the rebellion. Zara personally led the charge, piloting the Silent Dawn into the heart of the Escaran capital. There, she confronted the Escaron Emperor, delivering a message that would echo across the galaxy. "We are not your slaves. We are not your pawns. We are human, and we will never bow to you again." With the Emperor's defeat, the Escaron Empire collapsed. The humans, once seen as weak and insignificant, had risen to become a force that could not be ignored. In the aftermath, the humans established a new order. They rebuilt their worlds, forging alliances with other liberated species. The Silent Dawn became a symbol of freedom, its story passed down through generations. The galaxy would never forget the rise of the silent rebels, nor the day humans proved that even in the darkest of times, hope and determination could spark a revolution. Earth was no longer a planet of beauty and life. The alien invaders had stripped it bare, reducing its cities to ruins and enslaving its people. The Zorath, a ruthless alien race, had come to Earth in search of resources, treating humanity as little more than pests to be exterminated. Survivors were either forced to work in harsh conditions or driven into hiding in underground colonies. For decades, the Zorath ruled Earth with an iron fist. Their towering machines roamed the surface, searching for rebels, while their ships patrolled the skies. Most humans lived in fear, but deep underground, a spark of resistance was growing. A group of survivors had not only refused to give up, but had secretly been planning to fight back. Among these survivors was Ethan Cole, a former engineer who had become a leader of the resistance. Ethan was resourceful and determined, using his skills to create weapons and devices from salvaged alien technology. His underground colony, known as Haven, was home to hundreds of people who shared his vision of reclaiming Earth. One day, while scavenging in the ruins of an old city, Ethan and his team discovered something extraordinary. Buried beneath the rubble was a dormant alien vessel. It wasn't Zorath technology. It was older, far more advanced, and clearly abandoned. The markings on the ship suggested it belonged to an ancient civilization long forgotten by the galaxy. Ethan immediately realized the potential of their discovery. If they could repair and understand the ship's technology, it could become their greatest weapon against the Zorath. With the help of the colony's scientists and engineers, they began working on the vessel in secret. The ship, named Echo, became a symbol of hope for the resistance. As months passed, the resistance grew stronger. Using the advanced weapons and knowledge they salvaged from Echo, they began launching small attacks on Zorath supply lines. These strikes were precise and devastating, catching the Zorath off guard. The aliens, who had once considered humans insignificant, were forced to take notice. The Zorath commander on Earth, General Korloth, grew increasingly frustrated. He intensified patrols and ordered harsher punishments for captured rebels. But the humans were relentless. For every member lost, more rose to join the fight. Their attacks became bolder, their coordination sharper. Rumors of the mysterious human ship Echo began to spread among the Zorath forces, sowing fear and confusion. The Resistance's most daring mission came when they targeted a massive Zorath processing facility, a central hub for extracting Earth's remaining resources. The facility was heavily guarded, but Ethan and his team had a plan. Using Echo as their spearhead, they launched an all-out assault. The battle was fierce. Zorath drones swarmed the sky, their weapons firing relentlessly, but Echo proved to be a game-changer. Its advanced shielding and powerful weaponry allowed it to withstand the onslaught while delivering devastating blows to the enemy. On the ground, resistance fighters infiltrated the facility, planting explosives and sabotaging key systems. The explosion that followed was visible for miles, a fiery declaration of humanity's defiance. The destruction of the facility crippled the Zorath's operations on Earth, forcing them to retreat to regroup. The victory was a turning point. Inspired by the Resistance's success, other hidden colonies emerged, joining the fight. The Resistance's network expanded, and their attacks became a coordinated campaign. They targeted Zorath communication hubs, disabling their ability to call for reinforcements. Bit by bit, the invaders were being pushed back. General Korloth, realizing the threat was greater than anticipated, decided to crush the rebellion with one final, overwhelming strike. He deployed the full might of the Zorath forces to Haven, determined to end the resistance once and for all. But Ethan and his people were ready. They had anticipated such a move and prepared a trap. As the Zorith forces descended on Haven, they were met with a united human defense. Echo led the charge, tearing through the Zorith fleet with unmatched precision. Hidden artillery and traps set by the resistance turned the battlefield into a nightmare for the invaders. The battle raged for hours, but in the end, it was humanity that stood victorious. General Korlath, wounded and defeated. Ethan delivered a message to the remaining Zorith forces: leave Earth now, or face the same fate as your commander. The Zorith, humiliated and broken, retreated from Earth. For the first time in decades, the planet's skies were clear of alien ships. The Resistance had not only reclaimed their home, but had sent a message to the galaxy. Humanity was not to be underestimated. In the months that followed, the survivors began rebuilding. The scars of the invasion would take generations to heal, but the human spirit had proven unbreakable. Echo, now a symbol of their triumph, was preserved as a reminder of what they had achieved. The echoes of vengeance would resonate across the stars, a warning to any who dared to challenge humanity again. The galaxy was in chaos. The Valrith Dominion, a brutal and expansionist empire, had swept through star systems, leaving destruction in its wake. No planet had been able to resist their might. Earth, a peaceful and relatively small player in the galactic stage, had avoided their wrath for years. But when the Valrith reached the Sol system, humanity was forced to make a choice: surrender or fight. Earth chose to fight. Commander Alex Vega stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, the most advanced warship in humanity's fleet. Outside the ship's reinforced windows, Earth's orbital defenses were preparing for battle. The fleet was small, a patchwork of hastily upgraded civilian ships and a handful of military vessels. Against the Valrith's armada, it looked like a hopeless fight. "Status report," Alex said, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "The Valrith fleet will be in range within 20 minutes, replied Lieutenant Harris, her tactical officer. "They outnumber us 5-1. Alex nodded. She had expected no less. Humanity had no allies, no reinforcements. It was just them against the most powerful force in the galaxy. Yet surrender was not an option. The Valrith took no prisoners and left no survivors. "This is our home," Alex said, addressing her crew. "We stand here because if we don't, there will be nothing left to stand for. Let's show them what humanity can do." As the Valrith fleet entered firing range, the battle began. Massive energy beams lit up the darkness of space, and explosions rippled across the battlefield. The Eclipse led the charge, its advanced shields absorbing the first wave of attacks. Alex directed her crew with precision, outmaneuvering the larger enemy ships. The human fleet fought with desperation and ingenuity. Civilian freighters, retrofitted with crude weapons, rammed into Valrith destroyers. Mining ships used their drilling lasers to pierce enemy hulls. Every ship, every human life was a part of the fight. Despite their courage, the losses were devastating. One by one, human ships were destroyed, their wreckage scattering across the battlefield. Alex's heart sank with every ship lost, but she couldn't afford to waver. The Valrith's flagship, a massive dreadnought known as the Oblivion, loomed ahead, commanding the battle. If they could destroy it, the tide might turn. "Target the Oblivion's main reactor," Alex ordered. The crew worked furiously, coordinating an all-out assault on the dreadnought. The Eclipse fired everything it had, focusing on the enemy's weak points. Smaller ships provided cover, sacrificing themselves to protect the flagship. As the battle raged, the Eclipse took heavy damage. Systems failed, and fires broke out across the ship. Alex refused to retreat. "We're not done yet," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Divert all power to the main cannon. We're taking that thing down." "Commander, if we do that, we won't have enough power to maintain shields," Harris warned. "Do it," Alex said firmly. "This is our last chance." The Eclipse's main cannon charged, glowing with energy. The ship's shields flickered and failed, leaving them exposed to enemy fire. Valrith ships targeted the Eclipse, bombarding it with relentless attacks. The hull groaned under the strain, and alarms blared. "Firing in 3, 2, 1, Harris announced. A blinding beam of energy shot from the eclipse, striking the Oblivion's reactor. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a massive explosion ripped through the Valrith flagship. The Oblivion shattered, its debris scattering across the battlefield. Cheers erupted on the eclipse's bridge, but the victory was short-lived. The remaining Valrith ships, enraged by the loss of their flagship, turned their full fury on the human fleet. Alex knew they couldn't hold out much longer. Just as all seemed lost, an unexpected signal came through. "This is Captain Marin of the Draken Alliance," a voice said. "We've seen your fight and your courage. Humanity, you are not alone." Out of hyperspace emerged a fleet of Draken warships. The Draken, a neutral species, had long avoided conflict with the Valrith. But humanity's defiance had inspired them. The Draken ships opened fire on the Valrith fleet, forcing them into retreat. The battlefield fell silent as the remaining Valrith ships fled. Humanity had survived, against all odds. In the aftermath, Earth mourned its losses but celebrated its victory. The eclipse, though heavily damaged, became a symbol of hope and resilience. Humanity had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they would not surrender. Alex stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The fight wasn't over, the Valrith would return. But humanity had shown the galaxy that they would never back down. And now, they had allies who believed in them. The last stand had become the first step toward a new future.